having theater?
We usually do potluck.
Yeah,
We're
potluck.
okay with the potluck,
Potluck,
we're
for sure.
comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually a combination.
Yeah, we buy stuff and we bring stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but last year stuff that you guys bought when no one ate it, like the cold cuts and the whatever.
Everybody ate my salad.
We just do why don't we just do potluck? And,
Well,
and,
because people
and have
still-
a and have a
there's
list
still
of
some-
who's bringing what, and then we know
Be-
who
because-
is
Yeah,
bringing.
people can buy
Things
their
change.
potluck item,
Yeah.
right?
We just bring it,
He just
yeah,
doesn't
there
want
was
any
too
meat
much last
in the-
year, but we
in the
just
mix.
scale it down, that's
There's
all.
always too
But
much.
people did eat, we just didn't eat enough. Okay, so here's my little buddy, thanks to David for all of these tricks, Google Drive, and this fellow's pondering what's happening. Prices have been going up, and when's it gonna end? So this is what I call bubble speak. Time to start talking about it. It's interesting, I've been tracking this for years and I've kept information. Canadian Business Magazine, February 2012. I don't know if any of you read that publication. Crash. Why house prices are about to fall. That was 2012. And at that time I said, and I was against all of the media, there's no bubble. What bubble are they talking about? Maclean's, January 2012. 13, beg your pardon. Inside the great real estate crash of 2013. Again, I said, where's the bubble? There's no evidence of a bubble, but apparently they thought so because this is what sells papers and magazines.
I like what it says on the top, it says 99 stupid things.
Yeah.
And here's the first.
Canadian Business Magazine, February 2013. How low will house prices go? Because this was what was in the media all the time. And again, I said, I don't see the
But they
evidence.
didn't use crash this time.
Yeah.
Because 2 years have passed.
Yeah.
Now we've created a Super Bowl.
So what we have here is the chart and graph that I've been giving to every client, I think, for the last 19 years. Kind of showing where things are at. We're going to come back to it in detail. The last bubble burst in March of 1989. I remember because I was in that market. I bought my second house in 1988. And I bought the house in March. The folks wanted a long closing. So I think I paid $348 for it. And I remember in October, I was traveling 2 weeks a month everywhere. Somebody knocked on my door in October of '88 and offered me $420,000 for the house I just bought in March for and that was before the days of multiple offers. And I remember being at the front door because there was a realtor I knew, and I wasn't in real estate, I was in franchising at that point. I thought, that's not bad. And I looked into my living room and I saw the boxes weren't unpacked yet, and I thought, it's too much trouble, now forget it. I left it. And of course we sold it several years later because that March '89 was the peak, and then prices went down. So what happened is from '87 to '89, prices went up 35%. From March of '89 till January '06, prices declined 32% over a 7-year period.
So
And that's the trough
You mean
of
96, you mean
No,
96.
sorry, 96. Yeah.
Go again.
And then from '97, January of '97 is when prices, and they've been,
Like the
Increasing.
Like the chart better?
yeah, it's the same chart, it's just that we make these ourselves. The only slight blip was in 2008. If you remember in 2008, when everything crashed in the United States, I remember September 2008, October we moved into the buyer's market for the first time in all those years. But guess what? By February the next year, we were back in the seller's market.
4 months.
Toronto is the only community in North America
They got
that
saved.
has been increasing prices for 19 years, with the exception of that tiny little blip that lasted 3.5 months.
And it wasn't even.
Well, actually, it's the
so
GTA.
barely.
Yeah,
GTA.
the GTA. So, this is interesting. I picked this out of the magazine. You're going to see a cover of the latest Maclean's or 2 weeks ago. A boom like no other. Have a look at where our prices are. We are on the top, Toronto and Vancouver. But interestingly enough, and we know about what's been happening in Vancouver, Vancouver has had 3 troughs in those 19 years. Toronto hasn't, even though their prices have escalated. But we've outpaced New York, we've outpaced Chicago, Boston, and San Francisco. It's absolutely amazing. I can send you images
Yeah,
of
yeah.
this, I just
Wonderful.
scanned them if you want them. So just fascinating. Now, I want you to see on this chart what the annual average price increases. I play with the numbers every which way. So yes, I recognize, be careful of averages, because not every community is the same. However, the trends are the same.
Correct.
It's just that if you're in Forest Hill doesn't see extreme highs nor extreme lows. Same thing as in Rosedale. They suffer the same, but there are other parts, maybe in the city, maybe in your community, that have had higher troughs and higher peaks. But the trends have remained the same. So over the last, I think it was 12 years, and it's from 2004 to 2015, average increase was 6.51%. If you include last year, which is 21.46, that's the first time we have an increase currently at 21% over last year's pricing. Okay, when was the last time we saw that? We're coming to it. But here's the bottom line. In the old days, prices used to increase on average between 2 and 5%. That was it per year, which was in those days somewhat sustainable, but not really. But look at that chunk. When last did we see 21.46? Greatest percentage increase in 28 years happened between last September and this September. So the last time that happened was in 87, 88. Okay, so it's interesting. We've been through those cycles. Now I'm sure that if you're in the outlying markets, the trends are not that far. There are some communities, due to economic scenario, that may be like Windsor, potentially Sarnia, but generally the trends have been the same. It's across Canada. And there are regional differences, and there are regions that are suffering right now, which is why it's always paralyzed the federal government from making any drastic moves. Because if you were to increase interest rates in Toronto, well, what are you going to do on the East Coast where it takes 14 months to sell a house currently? And there are regional differences. And of course, look at Alberta. They've been up and down like a toilet seat, petrodollar.
That's amazing that there was no double-digit increase in 12 years, and,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden there's...
Yeah. And now this is not annualized and it's like a thing, but when I saw the numbers hit the 20s, this is ridiculous, okay? This to me is
You
the
can't
warning
deny
sign.
that.
Okay?
That's the warning sign for sure.
So now this is the chart that I've spoken about in the past. Annual average wage increase is somewhere between 1.5% to 2%. This is not in ratio to the actual numbers. This is the concept, but it's the same. Average annual wage increase. Annual average price increase of homes. Do you see what we have?
Growing gap, yeah.
It equals the affordability gap. How can you possibly, if your wages only go up by 2% per annum, and the price of homes go up by now, whatever, average of 8, 9%, it's impossible that we're seeing it in Toronto. Most of my friends who, they're ahead of me because their kids are grown, they're now where they should be buying their first homes, saying we can't buy anything in Toronto without parental or family help. There's no chance, because an average bungalow in the center of Toronto, a 2-bedroom with a crappy bathroom, is 1.3 million. I mean, that's it, okay? You want a friend of mine who bought his house 35 years ago, his neighbor just passed away. This is about 3 months ago. And the house was on the market for 4 hours, 3 offers. It's a bungalow like his, sold for 2.4 million. I could not believe that. I mean, that's Bayview Village.
A loft in the candy factory just sold for 2.7 million, 2,700 square feet. 2.7 million.
So there's some things
Maintenance
that...
fees of only $1 million a month.
3 offers.
Yeah.
3 offers.
Yeah. So when you get into that sort of stratosphere, of course, the buyers
That's
are limited,
crazy.
because it's still, when you get above 2 million, you're only talking about less than 1% of all buyers. And maybe some of them are foreign or foreign resident or whatever you want to call them. But let's talk about the average Joe who wants to try and buy a bungalow. You know, $1.3, $1.4 million. You can't even buy a condo, you know, on a subway for under $400, $450. So here is what they're saying in McLean's, and it's kind of an interesting point. Canada's economy is more dependent on consumer spending and real estate investment than it ever has been.
100%.
Because right now, what's driving it, I mean, try to get a plumber to show up. I had a friend of Carol's tell us her experience. The neighbors came to knock, she didn't ever know. She says, your condo's leaking on us. We're the one below. And it was the long weekend, Labor Day weekend. What do you mean it's leaking? She couldn't find anything, but apparently it was her laundry. Bottom line, when she told me what she had to pay for a plumber just to show up, and the first guy that showed up, and then she got the bill, charged her $300 just to show up to do the analysis, and then another $350 to fix it. And when he fixed it, he screwed it up that somebody else had to come, and then fortunately that guy didn't charge.
That's you guys.
$650 to come and
Oh,
get.
same thing.
I mean, that's the thing. You try and get trades. One of my clients bought a property in competition in March, closing in whenever it was June, and we were going to renovate. And when I was walking through the house, and I've got a pretty good idea of what it costs to renovate. I said to him, I'm going to do this, we're going to do that. It's going to be. He says, can we do it for $250? I said, no chance. It's going to be $300,000. Guess what? We're at $360 and we're not finished. Because everything I said, I mean, I didn't take into account the Canadian dollar fading because a lot of that stuff you buy is from the US, but it's the labor. When I heard what they were paying the tiler to lay down the marble, I thought, I'm in the wrong business. It used to be $5 a square foot, it's like 20. You want a skilled guy? $20 a square foot to lay the tile, that's not including the marble or whatever.
Ship the Mexicans in, that's what I say.
I've got a vacant property, just listed, needs painting, old person, smoker. I get 2 painters, meeting them there at the house, just as a service for the client. The second painter, yeah, okay, meet you at 12:30 on Saturday. I don't want to go, but I go, 12:30 on Saturday. Quarter to 1, I phone him, I said, where are you? He says, oh, you know what, it's a long way, I don't think I really want to come in. And I got like 2,000 square foot house that needs walls, ceilings painted, not interested. I'm telling you, I'm gonna learn to be a tradesman.
Well, developing relationships with tradespeople over the years,
But-
that counts for so
That
much.
shirt right there, we
Wouldn't
got
even
the
come
bank.
off the fire department.
They just had a
Yeah.
toilet fixed.
We have to run, I'm gonna just,
Yeah.
I can get you
I
this
spent
chart,
my
it's just.
No,
time-
I just want to comment, the reason we went up like this,
Yeah.
it's because they lowered the interest rate.
Yeah, of course.
And then we put
I
it,
haven't got into the specifics of what has caused this, and there's a whole section on the affordability gap. Just quickly, when they started introducing 40-year amortization, remember that?
Yeah.
That's because the prices were so high, and I remember specifically at that time in Toronto, people who could not afford a $600,000 home, all of a sudden they could, because they could amortize 40 year instead of 25.
Now we
It's
have the reverse
100,000
problem.
difference.
What I bought was
Yep.
5,000.
So, this is it. Canada's housing bubble is the economy's biggest risk and its biggest driver. Now governments want to cool it down. They don't know what they're doing, we don't know what we're doing, we can't predict the future, but that's the bubble speak. I'm saying now for the first time, I think we're going to be hitting the bubble. It's starting to inflate. And that's kind of the
Vancouver
accelerated
down
version.
400,000 average right now,
Yeah.
from January. From January, they hit 1.8, now they're at 1.4. $400,000 average down.
Yeah.
Well, now they're back in line with
And
reality.
the bottom line now
Well,
is.
it's
Getting there, it's getting
I've
there.
started to hear from realtors around that they're not getting as many showings. Some people aren't achieving multiples, or they're not getting 20 people to come and put an offer at the same time. It's not to say that it's not happening, because it takes a little while to phase in, but it's not sustainable at 20% increase.
I just sold a property to a client for less than the asking price. We were the only offer that came in on offer day, and that is unheard of in that location where I just sold.
Folks, it's 1 o'clock, let's then finish.
Well, I accelerated, I didn't put in all of the commentary, but there was just concept, and I'm gonna make a presentation and maybe make a video of this, just to send it out to my client.
Well, like I said, if you watch my little video that I have the update to, that's 6 minutes, it talks about this too.
Yeah. And there, I can always send that link, that's this article, it was not a bad written article by McLean's, kind of has a different perspective. I can get that to Laura or someone, put it somewhere. It's the Hands Off My Housing Bubble is the title of the article. So that concludes today. I'm hoping that I've received everybody's response to the invitational. Is there anybody in this room that has not responded somehow or other that they're coming to the You're gonna be there? You haven't responded.
No, you haven't responded.
But I need to know by this afternoon, I'm sending the contract to the hotel, whether you're gonna be there Wednesday, and please, also, this is another thing. I can't make it any more simple. I sent the email, there's 3 questions. Are you coming? Are you coming Wednesday or Thursday, and you need a roommate? And I can tell you 35% don't answer, yeah, I'm coming. Or, yeah, I'm looking for a roommate. Well, it doesn't help me if you're looking for a roommate. I need the count, right? So I sometimes get a little frustrated. Because for me, it's an easy thing. If you all send it in, I just plug it into a spreadsheet, bang, it goes off to the hotel. There's still a bunch of holes in it.
Catherine said she was coming and needs a roommate, so if anybody's,
It's resolved? Yeah, I think so. I think you did. I think you
Oh,
did.
you are?
Just one more point on this whole thing, we have not even touched on rental properties, and the competition going on within the rental market is insane.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out there, not to start a conversation.
So I know that the investors group are going to meet for lunch. Then there's a couple of us who maybe hang around, maybe yes or no. It's up to you guys if you want to join us. We're likely going up to the Mexican joint. Is that cool, Ed? Yeah.
Mexican joint.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, I'll be hanging around too.
Yeah, and I thank you for being here, and we look forward to an amazing invitational. Do we have enough, Laura, to start building an agenda for? We do, because it comes in and goes out when I know you're taking notes. And Jonathan, thank you for the great notes. We need,
Yeah, cool.
yeah, appreciate them.
Really
I
appreciate
added
it.
all the links in for all the suggested things to watch as well.
Thanks so much.
That's good, thank you.
And then some.
Hey, guys, thanks.